Hello, my name is Reese Colley, and I need a journal to contain the entries I have written on random sheets of paper, so I am going to do a bookbinding project to contain all of it. I started by folding the signatures, and I actually ended up folding more than I would actually need, which is actually par for the course of this fucking channel. I mean by that, extra, of course. It's a good thing I did, because I ended up using more for tests and related things, like messing things up because I didn't sleep at all in the past 24 hours, while actually doing the crafting for this project. After folding all of the signatures, I decided how many signatures I actually wanted. I chose to use 11 signatures total, including the signatures I have already written and filled with entries. Each of the signatures have 5 sheets of paper inside them, which comes up to be about 10 pages per signature. If there were 11 signatures inside this journal, I would end up with 110 pages total. I made sure to fold each and every one of the signatures, which I then made sure to fucking crease each and every single goddamn page with my bone folder. After I creased each page, I went on to finding all of the equipment I was actually going to need. I got the jig, which I use for punching the holes, and I grabbed a piece of a box, like the corner that's used to hold the corner E. I used the awl I have to punch the holes I needed, and then I took some tests, and I did a lot of measuring. Fucking rulers, dude. I can't use them correctly for the life of me when I'm not sleep deprived, let alone when I'm working off of like 0 sleep in the past 24 hours. I plan to write down the measurements I used for the cords that I have on the spine and the holes I punched. I made a template after trying and failing to get the measurements properly multiple times, and I finally got the hole punched. After I punched the holes, I started working on sewing the text block. I thought I might use 2 pieces of cords twisted together, but I decided against it eventually, at least for this project. Maybe for the next one. I am using the same cord to give the spine more character. I have my general journal, which is for anything and everything I could need, that used this cord on the spine, and that has a flat spine too. I think for the more personal journal, I'm also going to go with the flat spine. I thought I might go with a curved spine, but eventually I decided against that. I added the rest of the text block while not recording because it actually has entries to my personal journal, which I have already written. These entries are very personal to me, so I am going to not record them, and I am going to generally conceal them, because it's very personal to me. Next, I started to cut the cover boards down to size so that I can add the cover boards to the text block. I cut one of the boards I have in half, and I trimmed it down a little more, bit by bit, and once I got it to a place I was happy with in terms of size, I used the first one to copy the size over to the second one. I glued the cover boards to the end of the raised bands, and the cotton cloth to cover the boards too. I trimmed down the cotton cloth and the raised bands, then I got the spine and cover boards glued together. I moved on to the process of adding the leather cover. I started by measuring out the amount of leather I would need, and then I cut it down to size. After I cut the leather down, I then proceeded to form the leather to the spine of the book, and once I got it all formed, I glued the spine onto the leather. Or the leather onto the spine? Anyway. After I got the spine and the leather glued together, I glued the cover boards and the leather together. I took a moment to decide what I'm going to do for the end papers. I chose a piece of marbled paper I made recently, which I think came out pretty cool. I then measured the fucking sheet of paper. God damn it, bookbinding is a lot of measuring. I measured the marbled paper by tracing a normal sheet of printer paper onto the marbled paper, and I cut it out. After I had one of the sheets cut out, I cut out a second one to go on the other side of the book. I glued one of the sheets I cut out of the marbled paper onto one of the front pages of the journal, and I did the same at the very back of the journal. Then I glued the marbled paper to the cover boards. After I got the end papers glued and pressed in a makeshift press, I glued the edges of the leather to the cover over the edges of the inner side of the journal. I know you should use paste made from something like wheat flour or something like that, but I didn't at this point feel like comfortable making it, mainly because I was literally running on 0 sleep in the past 24 hours. As I am working on this project, I was up to like 26 hours at this point, and I actually completed the journal within the 24-hour time period. I believe this will actually be the only 24-hour build this year, so I guess that's pretty cool, at least. That's about all I have going for this journal at this point. It's somewhat crudely made, but generally it's a good quality journal that will work as my own personal journal for now, until I fill it. I think the final product came out good, I guess. I mean, I think for a 24-hour build, this came out really good, but I'm personally never doing a 24-hour bookbinding project again. Like, period. Like, that's it. Because bookbinding really shouldn't ever be rushed. Bookbinding is definitely something that takes a lot of time, and if you rush something that's supposed to take time, it's definitely going to end up lower quality than you'd want. That's kind of how this came out. I feel that it's okay quality, but it's definitely not my best work. So, I definitely intend to do more bookbinding in the future.